And that's probably because the dive instructor was trying to get her to the surface and get her help and everything. So they themselves saw no sign of foul play, so they ruled it an accident, and then Gabe was allowed to leave the country. So then in the months after Tina was buried, Tina's best friend tried to actually stay friends with Gabe up until she got something really weird from him. So one day, and I guess it's around Christmas, so in December, she got a Christmas card from him. And on the front of the card was a picture of Gabe and Tina at their wedding. So it was their wedding photo. And inside was a note by Gabe that said, "Who's that sexy guy next to Tina?" "Oh, yeah, that's me," with a smiley face. It's like, what the
Okay,
what?
so we've got a narcissist on our hands. Okay, yeah.
So yeah, after that,
What?
Tina's best friend she couldn't be friends with Gabe anymore, which I
Yeah, it's like
completely dig it
scratching my
because
head on that one. I don't trust you.
that would have been really weird. So,
Yes, I agree.
anyways, Ken Snyder, who was one of the divers in Australia, was actually from the U.S. And when he got back from Australia, he couldn't just stop thinking about the drowning. So he found Tina's father's number. I guess he had her name. They probably talked or whatever. And so he called Tina's father, and he told Tina's father about Gabe's story. And he said what really didn't make sense to him was when Gabe said that Tina was 10 feet below him with her arms outstretched looking up at him. So remember, he said she went feet first and she was looking out at him. And apparently he also said her arms were outstretched. So this was kind of difficult for Ken to understand because, if someone's drowning, you're not going to just serenely fall to the bottom of the ocean. That's not going to happen. Even if you try to drown yourself, your body's automatically going to go into panic mode. So you're
Absolutely.
going to
And you're
start
splashing
panicking.
water everywhere and
Yeah.
flailing around and yeah.
Yeah. And never and ever have you ever seen somebody serenely drown.
Except for when
They're
they've
going to
already
flail.
drowned,
They're going to,
when they're already dead and all the last breath
when
of
it's already
air,
dead.
then they're yeah, and then they're just, lightly floating to the bottom, but that's not normal. You're right. You would definitely because you're suffocating. So you want to get air and you're going to try everything to try to, figure out how to get to the surface.
Right. You're going to flail around. You're
Yeah.
going to scream. You're going to kick. You're going to try to grab from something, anything near you to help push you up to
Yeah.
the surface.
Yeah.
And he said, like you said before, he said in his experience, live people don't sink. Dead people do.
That's
Because
true.
even if I'm in the ocean, I sink. If I'm not a floater, I start sinking. But I'm not just going to sit there and sink. I'm going to kick my feet and try and make it up to the surface. Only a dead person will just stop and sink. So,
That's true.
yeah. So, this is what he told Tommy, Tina's father. And so 2 days later, Tina's father said that Gabe sent through his attorney that even though they'd been married for 10 days, he was Tina's husband and Tommy needed to get all her shit together. This is what he said, get all her shit together and get it over to him right now because her stuff is now his stuff. Yeah. So Tommy also said that Gabe asked Tina, like right before their wedding, he had asked Tina to increase her life insurance and to take her father off of it and make him the sole beneficiary. After that call from the attorney and from after the call, so he got the stuff from the attorney, and after the call from Ken Snyder, Tommy decided to go to Australia himself and speak with the dive master, who he's the one who brought Tina up. So he asked the dive master, which this is what I was wondering from the beginning, and I don't know if you were wondering this, Char. This is what I was wondering from the beginning when they were trying to resuscitate her.
Mm-hmm.
He asked the dive master, so there were two different boats. When Tina came up, they brought her up on another boat. So Gabe's on one boat, Tina's on another boat, and they're trying to resuscitate her. So Tommy asked the dive master if Gabe ever came from the other boat to the boat where Tina was trying to be resuscitated.
Right.
And the dive master said, you know what? Now that I think about it, no, Dave never came over. He actually didn't come over until they pronounced her dead.
Well, he was waiting to see if his great scheme worked, and so he can get ready for his dramatics of, oh no, oh my God, is she dead? Oh, I wonder what happened. Oh, my poor Tina. Oh, my love. I mean, it's all part of the deal. I'm sure it was all part of what he envisioned. He had to look like this innocent, husband. But you know how stupid you look that you were on a different boat? You should have stayed with her. Why would you leave her down there by herself in the depths of the ocean? That's so
Well,
terrifying. It's so cold, and it's just, I can't even imagine someone doing something like that to especially the newly married spouse, when you're supposed to be inseparable, even for a moment. Like, I would just be there.
inseparable.
I mean, well, yeah, inseparable means you're not gonna. Well, you can't Oh, anyway, inseparable. You don't want to separate though. So, point being, you should be right there by that person's side. I mean, especially when you're that freshly married, it just looks suspect. It really doesn't look good.
Well, first, I want to say this is all alleged and this is all our speculation. We're not saying Gabe actually did it. We're not saying yes or no. So, this is all our speculation for the show. Secondly, yeah, I don't care if I was newlywed or 10 years in. If my husband is getting resuscitated, I'm going to be going crazy in the other boat trying to swim over to this boat and be like, yeah, push harder. You're not giving him enough breaths. What are
Yeah.
you doing? Pound on his chest.
What's
Wake
the
up.
matter
Don't
with you,
you leave
stupid? I'll
me.
do it.
You
I'll
know,
do it myself. Move over. You would just be a lot
I'll do
more
it
intense.
myself. Exactly. So this is the information he got from the dive master. In March 2005, Gabe took legal action in Alabama's court to try to recoup the cost of their trip to Australia after their travel insurance company refused to give him money. So he was looking to get about $45,000 for the accidental death, plus compensation for the interruption of the trip, medical expenses, phone calls, taxi fare, fees for extra credit card statements, and quote unquote unspecified punitive damages for mental and emotional anguish. Oh, poor guy. So he was looking to get 45,000 for that. So let's see. This happened in October 2003. I mean, I guess
What
that's
is that?
enough time because that was
Is
March
that,
2005.
oh,
No,
okay.
I was just
October.
wanted to see how much time passed by before he was trying to get this money from the travel insurance.
I mean, it's like 5 months, so wasn't it a difference of about?
No. It was like some years. So this happened in 2003, and he was doing that in 2005.
No, I was looking
So,
in March. I'm thinking of March, but okay, got it. Yeah, that's true.
oh, okay, got you. Yeah. So in 2006, Tina's family and the Helena police went public with concerns that the Queensland police were not doing everything in their power to find the answers to why their daughter died. They believed Gabe was the guilty party, and they said this to every public station who would listen. They just wanted to get this out, and they wanted people to do more than they were doing. So one day they saw a letter by the Townsville coroner quoted in an Australian newspaper that said, unless there is some decision on the matter soon, the father will generate considerable publicity over the perceived lack of action over the death of his daughter. And this was written by the coroner whose last name is Glasgow. Um, so
Okay.
he was saying, and this is all a quote. This is all a quote. He was saying this lack of action will by implication reflect badly on the office of the coroner and on Queensland police. You will gather from my comments that I am concerned this matter has real potential for political embarrassment of mature nature. So that was his quote. So after that came out, the Queensland police started working around the clock to investigate Tina's death. So, this was all due to the publicity because they didn't want to look like an incompetent station. So they went around the clock trying to figure out, okay, was it an accidental death or did Gabe actually murder her? So they ended up doing a dive reenactment. And 1 year later, the FBI and the local police, so this is in the United States, searched Gabe and Christina's home. They also took documents that Gabe still had on his computer. So by this time, this is all happening. Gabe had already started dating. So I don't want to say already because it was a some years. So by this time, Gabe had started dating someone named Kim, and she was actually introduced to him by one of his ex girlfriends, which is really really weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, Kim was older than him by 2 years and had also graduated from the same high school as him. So before they actually met in person, they talked on the phone. They talked a lot on the phone actually. So she knew like everything about him. She knew everything that was going through. She knew what was happening with his deceased wife. She knew about the case and just everything. So my question to you, Shar, is if you started, you got introduced to this guy, you started talking to him, and through talking to him, he was like, "Yeah, my wife died in a drowning accident on our honeymoon in Australia, and I'm being investigated for that." Would you be like, "Well, sounds amazing. What time can you pick me up for dinner?"
Oh my gosh, I suddenly realized that I my schedule is so full. I just would not be able to go out with you. Oh, that's okay. Well, if you can't make it on Tuesday, no, I mean never. I just would run.
Yeah,
You know,
I just
it's a
remembered that
huge red
I
flag.
decided to I wanted to become a gourmet chef, so I have to go to school. I also decided I'm going to impregnate myself with twins, so I'm going to be busy with that. And I want to become a stunt driver. So I'm kind of going to be, you know, calendar's kind of full for the next couple years at least.
Well, okay, so I want to paint just a more of a vivid picture of the environment they were in before this happened, Kai. I know they obviously didn't know each other as well as husband and wife, but the area that they were diving off of in Australia is a beautiful, beautiful area, especially for those that are studying, the ocean systems and all of that. So it's actually the Great Barrier Reef. So this is something that they may, I mean, you would think the average person that's doing this is like, "Oh my God, we're actually going to dive off the Great Barrier Reef." It sounds so romantic. It just sounds like what an experience that we're having together that we can tell our kids about, in Australia.
Yeah, but yeah, I said that at the beginning that it was the Great Barrier Reef.
Okay, but did we talk about how fascinating that environment is? I don't think so. So
You
I'm
know what?
just, yeah.
I think I just assumed because I watch National Geographic a lot, so I think I just assumed that everybody knew. I'm sorry.
That's okay. Like people, even that study marine biology would be enthused with that, but also just the fact that it's like so exotic and different. Like you're going way over there, but at the same time, that's another reason for her to feel fearful because she's so out of her comfort zone. You see what I mean? And it's like nobody's going to know me over here if something happens to me. She already didn't want to go. She did not want to do the dive. She made that very clear,
No,
adamantly
she
clear.
didn't.
Yeah, she
No, she didn't.
yeah,
No, she didn't. No,
she
she didn't.
okay. Okay.
No.
Okay.
According to all the reports that I've seen, even from her family, she wanted to go on the dive. Her family just thought Gabe talked her into it, and his family was like, "No, no, she's the one who brought this up."
That's really interesting. Okay. Well,
And
yeah. Go.
And then the other thing I wanted to say is that, yeah, you're saying she's out of her comfort zone and everything, but if she married this man and she seems like she was so in love with him, then she probably completely thoroughly trusted him and was just like, yeah, I'm out of my comfort zone, I'm out of my area, but I'm doing it with the one I trust the most. So that also I could see that as not being an issue.
Well, the problem is that there is different accounts of what really happened. They have evidence that presented that, like at the trial, they actually said that there was different accounts of what really happened that day. How she was really didn't want to go, but he convinced her this is what she needed to do, and she was never that excited about it. As a matter of fact, she was very apprehensive about it. And so this is what she was saying. One thing to one group of people, maybe to his family, just because he told them how excited he was about it. But there was no reason for him to be that excited. He's from Alabama. How much diving do they do, or scuba diving? It just seemed really fishy from the start.
Yeah, I guess she was given different accounts because I mean,
Hmm.
if she wanted to impress him, she's not really going to be telling him that, I'm very scared, I don't want to go. And then maybe she was telling other people that, I'm terrified. So,
Yeah,
in the
yeah.
accounts that I saw, I didn't see that, but apparently you did. So it was
Hmm.
just many different stories floating
Yeah,
around,
and that's what they were
which,
saying in the trial. Too many different versions of who said what and who really didn't want to do this and who was. It's just too much